Hello everyone, my name is Lihang from Tsinghua University. Today, I'm going to introduce our paper, a human-computer collaborative editing tool for conceptual diagrams. Editing conceptual diagrams is a typical office task, which involves complex and tedious operations in current GUI interfaces. For example, to increase the distance between four elements while keeping the position of the second square unchanged. Users need to manually drag and adjust each element one by one. This is because users have to convert their editing goals into complex operations and manually perform them in the GUI. To solve this problem, we propose a human-computer collaborative editing tool that reduces the interaction border while ensuring interaction efficiency. CET achieves this goal through task division and collaboration between humans and computers. Users can describe high-level editing effects through multimodal instructions, and the computer calculates, recommends, and performs detailed and precise operations accordingly. For example, instead of manually dragging a new element to a target position, the user can simply draw a rough shape on the canvas and say, create a circle here, and the computer will automatically help the user achieve its editing effect. In this paper, we focus on the editing of conceptual diagrams, which are important in education, research, and software development. Moreover, mobile devices have become increasingly popular for editing tasks, but compared to desktop devices, mobile devices have fewer functions and more interaction-related problems. Therefore, we narrow the interaction device down to smartphones and focus on the editing problems of conceptual diagrams on mobile devices. We first conducted a user behavior observation experiment to determine the specific task division between humans and computers. In the experiment, one participant acted as the end user and the other acted as a human assistant. The end user gave multimodal conceptual diagram editing instructions to the human assistant, who tried their best to execute the instructions. The experimenters observed both participants' behavior. The human assistant's operations were all the tasks that needed to be performed, while the user's instructions only covered a small part of them. The computer needed to fill the gap between the user's instructions and the GUI operations. Besides, we analyzed how the human assistant bridged the gap to determine how to implement the CET's functionality. The results of Study 1 showed that there was a gap between the end user's behavior and the human assistant's GUI operations. The end user's instructions only involved the important features of the editing content and usually ignored the unimportant features. In diagram editing tasks, the most important feature is the position of the elements. GUI operations require precise numerical values for all details, while the end user typically specifies a fuzzy range through gestures or element comparisons. In addition, the user's instructions may conflict with each other and do not indicate how to resolve the conflicts. All conflicts in GUI operations must be manually resolved. Furthermore, we observed three strategies that human assistants used to bridge these gaps. They used the experience-related prior knowledge to supplement missing or fuzzy parameters, such as replacing blue with a better-looking sky blue. They also used the content-related posterior knowledge, such as copying the properties of existing elements or the relationship between properties. To handle conflicts between instructions, human assistants would spontaneously modify multiple diagram elements even if these elements did not appear in the user's instructions. For example, when the user requested to move square B, which is located between squares A and C, and has equal distances to both squares, the human assistant might adjust the positions of both A and C to maintain the equal distance relationship. Based on the results from Study 1, we designed CET's functionality. CET has three main functionalities to auto-complete the user's fetch inputs. First, CET fills in missing or fuzzy information in the user's instructions. This is because user instructions are often imprecise, and the users usually care more about the relationships between elements rather than specific attribute values. Second, CET needs to handle conflicts between instructions in the most reasonable way. Third, CET needs to provide users with multiple possible candidates because the vagueness inherent in user instructions makes it difficult for even a human assistant to fully determine the user's actual needs. CET's system design is divided into 5 parts, with the most fundamental being mathematical modeling of the editing content, which contains content-related knowledge. During command parsing, CET passes the user's verbal instruction and aligns it with the user's gesture. Solution generation is the core of CET, in which CET calculates possible solutions based on the user's instruction and recommends them to the user based on their scores. Finally, CET predicts the user's subsequent behavior and waits for the user's next round of operations. Next, we introduce how we implemented this system design in SIGCHI. The most significant feature of our content modeling is the use of linear equations to describe the positional relationships between elements. During solution generation, we supplement missing positional information by performing elementary transformations of the equations. We can also use these linear equations to determine an optimization objective during conflict resolution, allowing us to calculate different conflict resolution strategies. The interaction design of CET consists of 3 parts. Before the user gives the instructions, CET predicts the user's subsequent actions and provides corresponding prompts. We make this prediction based on the user's behavior and the content being edited. During instruction input, CET displays real-time understanding results of the instruction and supports manual modification by the user. After the user gives the instruction, CET proposes multiple possible solutions. To help the user better understand, we also show the internal logic of these solutions simultaneously. We conducted a use study to evaluate whether SIGCHI can support users in accomplishing diagram editing tasks with high efficiency, good results, and positive attitudes. We compared SIGCHI with PowerPoint on Android smartphones. The experiment was divided into 2 stages. In each stage, 2 groups of participants used different tools to complete the same diagram editing tasks. After all editing tasks were completed, we invited judges to score the editing results. The results showed that only 16% of the instructions were accurate, and SIGCHI needed to generate solutions for the remaining instructions. The total accuracy of the generated solution was 94.84%. As shown in the figure, users achieved better results in less time with SIGCHI. Compared with the baseline, SIGCHI can save 32.75% of time and improve the editing results score by 21.89%. In subjective feedback, users also gave more positive feedback for SIGCHI. In conclusion, in this paper, we explored the possibility of combining AI and office tasks. This combination corresponds to a human-computer collaboration system, and the most important aspect of this system is the task division between humans and computers. In this paper, we determine the task division by observing the human-human collaboration process. The ultimate goal of task division is to bridge the significant gaps between multimodal behaviors and traditional GUI operations. In this way, we can ensure both high accuracy and high interaction efficiency. That's all for my presentation. Thank you for your attention.